Hello everybody, I'm Danrvdtree2000, also known as Danrvdtree2000 on Xbox Live, and welcome to another exciting episode of the WWE'S Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Now, just to have a little quick side note, this is last week's Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live's Good, Bad, and Ugly, as Monday Night Raw this week has been and gone. And I'm about to watch that after I've made this recording for Good, Bad, and Ugly for last week's Raw. So, with that being said, I'm gonna now get on with the good, the bad, and the ugly for last week's Raw and SmackDown Live, and starting with Monday Night Raw. And so let's do this. And of course, the good things that come from WWE Raw this week, since I say last week, I'm sorry, was the NXT call-ups. If you wanna call it call-up, but yes, so we are getting into the era of the NXT call-ups again, and this time we have 4 major call-ups, indeed, which were really good ones. We had Ricochet, we had Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, and Aleister Black. And in that order, to be precise, this is what happened on Monday Night Raw last week. And Monday Night Raw, as we had a tag team match that featured Ricochet and Finn Balor taking on Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. Because after Elimination Chamber, where of course Finn Balor defeated both Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush to become Intercontinental Champion, he goes on Monday Night Raw, ends up doing this little promo, gets interrupted by Bobby Lashley, ends up getting beat down by Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. And then Ricochet saves him, and then after the break, there's a matchup between Lio Rush and Finn Balor. Finn Balor and Ricochet taking on Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. And amongst itself was a good match. Then we had later on the night we had DIY taking on the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Revival. And of course, DIY had their good match by beating the Revival. That was also really good. Good to see DIY back together again. I don't know if they've been secretly trying to tease a DIY reunion, but as heels, obviously with Tommaso Ciampa being the NXT champion and Johnny Gargano being the North American champion. It's nice to see, that heelish tag team this time round instead of being baby faces. Which obviously a lot of people say that that's not being teased at all on NXT lately, but I don't really pay attention to NXT, so I don't know what's been going on. But still, it was a very good match, and it was nice to see that tag team finish that they used to do on NXT as part of DIY once again happening. And good win for DIY there. And finally, getting to Aleister Black, we saw an Elias promo segment that, of course, we know always gets interrupted by somebody. And this time, it was Aleister Black, who was, of course, claimed that he was going to make Elias fade to black. And so, therefore, they had an impromptu matchup, and of course, Aleister Black did exactly that by making Elias fade to black by beating him with the Black Mass. And so, therefore, that was the good thing that happened on Monday Night Raw last week, and it was really good to see the new NXT guys coming from NXT. In quick succession as well, considering that lately we've had some other call-ups as well, like Lacey Evans, Nikki Cross, Heavy Machinery, and it was meant to be Lars Sullivan, but we haven't seen him been called up yet. I don't know what happened there. But it's still good to see these NXT guys being called up from to the main roster. I don't know if it's going to be for a long term, short term, or whatever. We don't know if they're going to be on Raw, SmackDown, but still, it's good to see them up there on the main roster. And I will get to that, the NXT call-ups again a little bit later on in this Good, Bad, and Ugly. But with that being said, we're going to go to the bad thing that happened on Monday Night Raw. And the bad thing to come from Monday Night Raw, I'm going to put two things in here. I usually put one thing, but I just can't put one thing this time. And for the first time only, I'm going to put two things. One was the Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott main event. It was just a rinse and repeat. And most of the promos that happened on Monday Night Raw, it's just, the promos weren't exactly that entertaining. And neither was the Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott for the Women's Championship. It was longer a matchup, but it was the same result. And it was just, it didn't need to be there type of thing. The same as it didn't need to be a Elimination Chamber. As I said in my review for my Elimination Chamber, that I thought it should be on Raw and a longer match. But overall, she didn't actually, Ruby Riott didn't actually deserve the opportunity. Not to say that she doesn't deserve it, it's just that she didn't earn it at all. It was just given to her. So I thought we was past all that, and we was up going to what the fans wanted. And what the fans want is Becky Lynch to take on Ronda Rousey, and hopefully that happens at WrestleMania. Chances are we end up getting a triple threat match, as I keep saying, for that Raw Women's Championship. But yeah, as well as there having bad promos as well, I just thought that was the bad thing to come from Monday Night Raw last week. It wasn't good. It's just, I don't know. But however, that was the bad thing that came from Monday Night Raw last week. But I'm gonna now move on to what the ugly thing was last week, and I'm gonna do that now. This match that happened on Monday Night Raw, that's going to be the ugly thing that came from Monday Night Raw last week, and was so bad and ugly that even WWE didn't want to show off the entrances or pay attention to it, because there was a package that happened in between it, and much on the Titantron. It was the Lucha House Party versus Hawkins and Ryder. Of course, another loss for Hawkins and Ryder, but obviously this is leading up to WrestleMania, perhaps even them winning their Raw Tag Team titles at WrestleMania. Which will be Kurt Hawkins' first win in like forever. Will that happen at WrestleMania? Will we finally get to see Kurt Hawkins get his win? Hopefully. But, the Lucha House Party won that matchup. We came this close to seeing it on Monday Night Raw, but it didn't happen. And it was an okay matchup, but, I couldn't really pay attention to it I kind of knew that Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder were going to lose, because again, they're working on that whole Kurt Hawkins is going to get his win at WrestleMania stick. So it wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was just like, meh. It was okay, it was ugly. So yeah, pretty much not really much I could say about that much apart from exactly that. And so therefore that was Monday Night Raw's Good, Bad and Ugly. And so we're going to move on to SmackDown Live's Good, Bad and Ugly moments from last week. And, well, of course, I'm going to do that now. And the good thing, the good thing to come from SmackDown Live last week was, of course, like I said about Monday Night Raw, the NXT call-up matches. They were also good, as we started things off with Aleister Black, who took on Andrea, with Selena Vega, and which is ironic considering that Selena Vega is married to Aleister Black in real life. So that was quite interesting to see them two opposite sides of each other. And obviously Aleister Black won that matchup against Andrea, and it was a very interesting matchup, to be fair. Very backwards and forwards matchup, thinking that maybe that Andrea was going to win. But overall, it was a black mess to the back of the head, and that was 1, 2, 3, and Aleister Black won that match. And next up was, of course, I think Ricochet. He had his match, and I can't exactly remember who was it against. It was against Eric Young. That was right. It was against Eric Young and with Sanity at ringside, and that was another exciting Ricochet matchup. That was my first time seeing Ricochet in a singles match. On Monday Night Raw, he teamed up with Finn Balor to take on Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush, as I said earlier. But it was really good to see this singles match where it was Eric Young versus Ricochet, and of course Ricochet picked up the victory with that 650 senton splash, which he does off the top rope, which was a really good impressing finishing move, if I do say so myself. Ricochet, I must admit, is a very good athlete, and I'm pretty sure he'll end up getting some WWE Championship opportunities in the future, even though apparently he's been a North American champion before. I'm not so sure if he's been the NXT champion, but I reckon that guy does deserve to be NXT champion, maybe Intercontinental champion as well in the future. So with that being said, we're gonna go on to the bad thing that happened on Monday Night Raw. We're gonna go on to the bad thing that happened on SmackDown Live this last week, and we're gonna do that now. In 3, 2, 1. And the bad thing to, of course, happen on Monday night. Take 2. 3, 2, 1. And of course, the bad thing to happen on SmackDown Live this week, well, was absolutely nothing. There was nothing wrong with SmackDown Live this past week. Last week, if you will. There was nothing I could see bad come from SmackDown Live. Everything for me was pretty okay. It was good, especially the NXT call-ups. I mean, the main event was also good too, with that 6-man tag. So, yeah, that was a really good show. So I can't say there was any faults or anything bad about that SmackDown Live. So with that being said, I'm going to have to go straight on to the ugly part, because there was nothing bad about SmackDown Live last week. So we're going to go on to the next match. And the next match, or should I say, the next part of the ugly part of SmackDown Live last week. And I'm going to do that now. And of course, last week on SmackDown Live, we're going to go on to the ugly part of it. And the ugly part was, of course, the Miz and Usos promo. It was just a case of the Miz Shane McMahon came out, I think, to start off the show and to say, NXT call-up guys happen on Monday Night Raw, so we're gonna have them on SmackDown too. And then the Miz interrupted him and said, "Hey, I'm going to come out and admit right in front of you. I think it was a way of saying that he originally he used Mr. Shane McMahon to for his own purposes. However, with the fact that, you know, after that he got his dad, Shane McMahon got his dad to come to say that he was proud of The Miz and he loved him. He kind of changed he kind of felt like, yeah, we're gonna win this. We're gonna win the tag team titles at the Royal Rumble, in which they did. And then they won it at Elimination. They lost it Elimination Chamber to the Usos, and so he basically wanted to say, hey, I want the rematch. I know the rematch clause don't exist no more, but I want the rematch. The fans want the rematch. And Miz was going on the fact that if the fans want it, then they'll make the match, due to the fact that if the fans want it, then, which they did, and I as a fan want to see that rematch at Fastlane, so the match was made, but before it was made, the Usos came out and interrupted this whole calling, you know, like Miz a loser and a joke, and that I didn't deserve the rematch. It's that typical you don't deserve a rematch type of promo. So the promo itself was okay. I just didn't see where it was going to go, when realistically we all knew where it was actually going to properly go, and that was the fact that a rematch was going to happen regardless. So yeah, he basically Shane McMahon defended The Miz and said, okay, that's tough, leave my partner alone, the rematch is on. And then that was it. They went to the next match, which wasn't good, wasn't bad. It was okay. It was ugly. It wasn't that exciting. I would have preferred to see like a confrontation, maybe, like you know, just maybe having more disses towards Shane instead of just going after The Miz. But overall, it was okay. You know. But with that being said, that was the good, bad, and ugly for SmackDown Live this past week. And of course it was the good, bad, and ugly for WWE this past week. So let me know in the comment section below, what did you think of the good, bad, and ugly? And did you think it was did you think it was good? Did you think it was bad? Or did you think it was ugly? Let me know what you thought of Raw and SmackDown as well. And until next time, I'm Danrvdtree2000, also known as Danrvdtree2000 on Xbox Live. And I'll see you next time on The Good, Bad, and Ugly for this week's Raw and SmackDown. And until then, bye-bye. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to watch the previous video, click on the video on the left. But if you want to watch the playlist, then click on the video on the right. Also, feel free to click subscribe by clicking on the Master Chief icon on the top.